we go then. Okay. Coming up on my show now, we have a talented singer-songwriter who has a passion for music. I know because I've done my research on him. Welcome into my show now. It's a pleasure to introduce my next special guest, Col Gerrard. That's Col Gerrard on my show. We have him interactive on a live Zoom video interview right now. So over to you, Col. How's life treating you today, and where are you situated about?
I'm situated in London or West London, and everything's actually doing very well at the moment. So I'm quite pleased with what's going on. Yeah.
That's excellent to hear. And the sun always shines in West London. It seems to be one of the most sunnier parts of
Actually, funny thing you say that. The sun just did pop out, but it was raining all morning. So there you go.
Ah, great. And looking forward to the summer. Do you have some good things lined up, like any festivals or tours or
Well, no,
gigs?
not yet. I mean, this is the thing we worked on. The album was done with the band, and I definitely want to get another band together. But we're still sort of in negotiations with a few people at the moment. We're talking to some record companies and a few other people too. And then I want to decide about getting on the road. I want to get a band together and get on the road 100%. That's what I'm definitely
Great.
after.
So you need like the material to perform,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you're away then. That's
Yeah.
great. So I just wanted to ask you first, can you tell me what it was like starting off as a musician? Like, do you have any fond memories or highlights?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of did a reverse kind of way. I started out when I was quite young. I was working in jobs from about the age of 11, but I come from an entertainment family. My mother was an actress. My father was a writer and a director, but he passed away when I was two. And my brother was a musician and also a theatre director, that kind of stuff. So I sort of grew up in that kind of area. When I was about 18, I was signed to a publishing deal. And then that sort of collapsed about 6 months later, and I decided to get a job and make some money. And then a few years after that, I started a business, and I opened up the business in a bunch of countries around the world. And then about 10 years ago, I was in my mid 30s, and I said, you know something, I really miss what I really want to do. So I sold my business, jumped on my motorcycle, went to Italy, went to film school, and started making some short films. And then about a year and a half ago, I ran into somebody I know named Zita McHugh, and she turned me on to Christopher Potter, who's the producer. He's worked with, I guess, the Stones. He's did all the stuff with the Verve, Richard Ashcroft, McCartney, a bunch of other people. A lovely man, great guy. I guess he liked what I was doing, I suppose, or decided just to take the paycheck. Um, and uh, and we did the album together, and now we're going back in the studio May 1st again, also. And
Great. That's
it was all done with musicians, by the way.
great.
So.
That's great. Great backstory. So you felt like it helped being from a musical background,
But
musical family.
absolutely, I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah, it kind of just
absolutely.
gives you that extra footing,
Yeah. I
to
mean, I
get
wish I could have
started.
been a Nepo baby, then I could get everything put on the plate for me, but unfortunately that didn't happen. My mother
Yeah,
said, sling your hook and go do your own work.
great. And like setting up businesses these days, very challenging times, for musicians and just like normal businesses as
Hmm.
well. Have you found that as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, every musician's biggest dream is to be able to make a crust when they're actually doing what they want to do, and it's just not reality. But I don't really think it was reality back in the day either, because even when I was playing in bands when I was a teenager and stuff like that, I still had a job on the side. I was never making any enough readies to be able to
Hmm.
survive, put it that way. So I think that bit's always really been the same. The only difference now is the pie to cut up has become very small, and that's the tough part for musicians. They have to decide. And I'm lucky in that sense because when I worked and I saved a bit of money, I don't have to really sort of be in that situation as much as I did back in the day. But I see a lot of musicians, they're having to give up whatever they can give up because they just really want to be out there. They just want their music out there. And that's a lot of times how they end up sort of screwing themselves. It's not particularly the record company's fault or anybody else's fault. You have those responsibilities for yourself as an artist or as a musician. But it is tough for artists these days to find any which way to make money. And that's why you see a lot of the bigger artists also, they're having a trouble making money. So they hook up with, you know, all these brands like Louis Vuitton, all that sort of stuff, and that's how they make their money these days.
Sure, yeah, and it's good to I think it's good to raise awareness on this, people to talk about as well,
Yeah,
rather than just sweep it under the carpet, like And you say back in the day, record companies they did take quite a big chunk of like the income of musicians
yeah.
as well. So maybe, as you say, times haven't changed really, but like streaming
Well, I mean,
platforms?
it all depends on how you work with those people. I
Mm,
think a lot of times, sometimes with record companies, I've been signed to record deals before, and they tend to assign somebody to you. And I remember the guy they assigned to me at the time, he was fired 2 days later. So, so at the end of the day, I didn't really have anybody that was championing me. And, in the industry, no question, if you're working in that, you want to have somebody that's in some sort of position to do something, championing what you're doing.
yeah,
I mean, there's lots of great musicians, lots of great music out there, tons and tons and tons of it. But at the end of the day, the guys that get through that sort of hoop and get to the area where they're actually making money on doing something, it's very rare. But then it's rare in every business.
yeah,
You know that there's a few people in radio that make millions. The rest of them do okay or survive or get by. It's no different in television. It's no different in now these days Netflix is screwing down the prices so tight now that actors are having to get side jobs whilst they're in a major television show.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I, I agree because like even in sport as well, there's so many good footballers and like
yeah,
the pool is so big, a bit of potluck
yeah,
maybe plays a part as
yeah,
well. Great.
yeah,
It's good to talk about these things. But one of the main reasons I got you on my show because you're promoting and plugging your new single, The Way I Feel.
yeah.
And I've had a listen to it, and I describe it as a thoughtful and heartfelt soft rock ballad.
Yeah, that would probably put it into the right hole. Yeah.
And is it nice to hear this single has been like well received from, from playlists and on the radio? And as you
It
say,
is
it's an
always nice. Listen, any
yeah,
kind of little. I mean, I know Spotify is a real squeezer, but at the same time, you can see. I mean, it's kind of nice to wake up in the morning, look and see who listened to your track yesterday, and there's some fellow in Buenos Aires that decided to listen to your track, or somebody in, the Faroe Islands. I had somebody listening to it, or Denmark, or whatever. And it's kind of a. I mean, it may only be one person, but from small things, big things come. So at the end of the day, I think that's kind of cool. That
yeah.
part of it, I like it a
That's
lot.
so true. Who did you write The Way I Feel with? And what instrumentation did you use on the record? Because I hear like pianos and various other instruments on there.
Yeah, I wrote it myself, but almost everything I write myself. There's a couple of tracks on the record that I wrote with somebody else, and a little bit of help from Chris Potter also. But I tend to write on my own. That song actually though was written probably over 10 years ago. It was written basically about a protest that was going on in London at that time. And I remember them interviewing somebody, and the guy said, I won't tell you what the protest was or what it was about, but the guy asked him a couple of questions, and he had no idea what he was talking about. He was only protesting on his feelings and not any facts. And that's what I find is really the problem these days. People
Mm,
protest upon their hearts and not their heads. And, there's a line in the beginning of the song that says, "What's the use of going out protesting for the people when you haven't got a clue yourself?"
mm,
And a part of it for me was just about the fact in life, you want to find something or you want to find something that's important for you. Make sure you know exactly what you're signing up for.
mm. Because you do get a lot of not a lot of people, but some people who like to jump on the bandwagon with things.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out of work. I mean, they're just jumping up and down central London these days on protests. But at the same time, I understand, and that's part of what makes our society great, I think, the fact that you do have that equal right to be able to
Yeah.
protest about what you feel, but at the same time, you should know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's true. 100%. And do you feel the way I feel that's your new record shows
Mm.
off your sensitive side and even like your vulnerable nature?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
It's a
well
good
spotted,
quality.
actually.
It's a good quality to have that because too many people try and cover up their feelings sometimes, and then the
Yeah.
feelings become trapped. But if you let it out, and then you feel, you feel exhilarated then.
Well, things like music and things like I used to box when I was younger. It was also a really good thing for me to get my, anxiety out of me or whatever things were bothering me. And music's also a great venue for that too. You can write a song and get rid of all that crap that's been rolling around in the back of your cranium for a couple of months and put it all into a song, and then it's gone. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done and dusted. You can move on to something else.
Yeah, there's no better way to start the day than putting some good music on in the morning.
Brother, I would never not agree with you more than 100%. I love any type of music. I mean, I'm a huge music fan and like almost musicologist. I love everything from rap to classical to thing. I've got something like 17,000 songs on my phone, and it just keeps going. I'm probably one of the last geezers that actually buys this stuff. I have Spotify, but I actually buy it on iTunes from time to time.
Nice.
I still want to feel that sort of ownership.
Yeah. Do you still go for your record collection, from your old CDs?
Yeah, I do, but unfortunately, somebody broke into my flat
Oh,
about 10 years ago and stole everything out of my flat. I had
oh.
I had old records from my brother and my father and stuff, and CDs and everything, and they even had some cassette tape, and they nicked it all. So that was that.
That must have been tough for you.
Yeah, it was kind of tough actually because some of the stuff was from my dad, and
Mm,
I've only got a few little things on my dad. He'd passed away when I was 2, so that was a
yeah,
bit emotional for me.
yeah.
But at the same time, I guess it wasn't meant to be, as they say. So
That's a shame. Anyway, you also released a track called "Come On Over." That's a previous
yeah,
single release to your new song. What's
yes,
the kind of meaning behind this one? Come on over.
that's basically a breakup song, and it's got a bit of cruelty to it. Also, it's basically inviting someone over to tell them to piss off.
Oh, okay. That's yeah. Moving on. I've got the
Well,
next track.
yeah, moving on. No, but it's everybody sort of listen. At the end of the day, no matter what, when somebody's hurt or somebody's emotions have been played with, everybody wants a little bit of vengeance. It's just the way the human psyche works.
Yeah.
Somebody's hurt you and somebody's caused you pain, mentally pain. Mental pain more than anything else. You want to have some sort of recourse, as they say.
Hmm. That happens in the animal kingdom as well, I guess.
Yeah. Well, when I
Human
was little, I
nature.
used to get beaten up all the time. I got picked on. I got bullied really badly. That's why
Yeah.
an uncle of mine put me into a boxing club and said, "You got to look after yourself." But the funny thing is that, I got so used to being picked on and bullied, I actually tended to use that as more of a power for myself than against me.
Hmm.
Oddly enough.
Yeah. But I like the next track you released. It's called "The Sun and the Sky." That's got quite a hopeful
Yeah,
meaning behind it. Is
very
that
much so.
that
Yeah.
song's been well received on your streaming platforms as well? It's doing really well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I like that track a lot. I wrote that with a bit of help from Chris Potter also. He basically arranged the track, which is what really did well for me in that area. But that song is it's a positive song. Most of the time as a person, I'm relatively optimistic as a person. I'm not too down the. We all get negativity from time to time, but I tend to be I tend to look at the brighter side of life if I can
Yeah.
possibly, to say that there can be a better tomorrow, there can be a better next week, there can be a better next year. You just got to work for it. That's all.
Yeah, it's funny. I was chatting to someone the other day, actually, an older woman, and she mentioned when the sun does come out, people are more kind of smiley and happy.
Well, we used to always, what was it, what's the old expression? Mad dogs in Englishman coming out in the midday sun, and it's true, I
Mm.
do a little bit of sun. I mean, I spend a lot of time in Italy sometimes, and I just, as soon as that sun hits my body or hits I just feel 10 times better.
Bit of vitamin C.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, mate.
cool. I better talk about some of your inspirations and influences over the years, like what
hmm
musicians have like kind of you looked up to, so to speak.
Oh, there's a massive list. Let me see. I'll start with David Bowie. I love him. Massive Earth, Wind and Fire fan. Marvin Gaye. I'm a huge Marvin Gaye fan. I love him to bits. Joni Mitchell. Well, I guess people like the Beatles and things like that too.
Mm.
I'm a huge Arctic Monkeys fan. Love the Arctic Monkeys.
Nice.
Um, like a lot of classical music, to be honest. I love a lot of. I'm an old fan of old rap. I prefer people like Ice-T. I loved Ice-T because Ice-T was all original music, no sampling, no nothing, zero. It was all original music behind what he did, and I loved Ice-T. Thought he was great, very original person. Um, I'm a big fan of bands, like musicians, like Prince's band. I got a chance to see Prince in Montreux just before he passed away. His band had my jaw dragging along the floor. They were so good, so incredibly fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the Funk Brothers. They were the band, the house band for Motown. Incredible group of musicians, all mainly ex-jazz musicians that applied that to Motown. Incredible guys. Ironically, today is the birthday of Carol Kay. She's 90. She was the bass player in a group of people in LA called the Wrecking Crew, and they used to play on things like the Beach Boys records. Incredible, another incredible group of musicians. So, for me, all of those types of people, they're really my a huge Jeff Beck fan also too. Love Jeff Beck. I just love great musicians. I like innovative, different, um, Miles Davis, huge fan of his also too. So yeah, it goes on and on. Burt Bacharach, I'm a huge fan of his,
Yeah.
mainly because of the way he could take a song and have six different key signature changes in it, and it still sounds like a great song.
A great spectrum of artists there. And one question I wanted to ask for you: what decade of David Bowie was like the most awe-inspiring for you, like his 70s, 80s, or even onwards from there?
Wow, that's a
Or,
really good question,
or
mate.
even 60s. He was in the 60s.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, he was in the 60s. Yeah, his first
Mm.
track came out 68, 69, I
Yeah.
think. Um, I'd probably say the 70s, yeah. I mean, I like Young Americans was a great album. Uh, yeah, I would probably say the 70s, but then the only time I ever saw David Bowie was when I was a little kid and somebody dragged me to his Thin White Duke tour, which was in the 80s sometime.
Mm.
And I got dragged along basically I was being babysat actually. And they dragged me along to a David Bowie concert. And even at the age of what, 5 or 6, where I was like, wow, this guy's amazing. So
So many great
yeah, I would
songs.
say that. Yeah.
Cool. And back to your music now. Do you prefer to release on a single by single basis, or are there plans to release an EP and an album after these singles?
Yeah, there is a plan. We did 12 songs for the original album, so we've released four so far. But until we sort of finish deciding which route we're going to take, whether it's record company route or just stay independent, we haven't decided to release the album just yet. We were talking about April actually, but we're going to put it back a little bit first. And plus, I'm going back in the studio May 1st anyway, so I'll have a whole roster of new tracks
Yeah.
to do also, which I'm happy about.
Yeah. So see what happens with that one. And
Yes.
also, do you have a favorite venue to perform at?
Yes, if I could, if I was allowed to go into, it would probably be two of them. Well, three altogether. There's
Hmm.
three on my hit list. Royal Albert Hall, which recently I was there. I saw the Who and actually Squeeze were playing there. It was an incredibly great gig. And the Who, wow, these guys are in their 80s and they're still banging it out. Um, so it'd be Royal Albert Hall, Carnegie Hall in New York, and the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. Those are
Yeah.
my three favorite venues.
Some very memorable, recognizable venues there.
It's on my work to do list.
Great. Well, I wish you the best with that and your new single as well. Where's best for people to follow you, like say social media, or if you've got a newsletter, streaming
Yeah,
platform?
probably on Instagram, that sort of thing. Col Gerrard Music. And I think what else do we do? I don't know.
Is
Somebody
it
does it for
TikTok,
me,
is
to be
it?
honest with you. TikTok's on. We're on TikTok too. I think we're on YouTube. I think YouTube Shorts also now. Um, uh, yeah, I'm really terrible with the social media side of it. Somebody that actually looks after it for me, which I really appreciate, because it requires patience, and I would be many broken phones and laptops if I had to be in charge of
Yeah.
it.
If all else fails, people can just put Cole Gerrard into a safe search engine.
Yeah, you'll find it. Col Gerald, it'll dig up some stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like Google or Bing.com.
yeah,
You
something
always
like
come
that,
up.
mate. Yeah,
Great. Well, thanks for chatting to me today. And
it was a
you
pleasure.
know,
Thank you, mate.
it's good to talk about like the state of the industry and
Yeah,
as well. And more importantly, your brand new single's out now in all good outlets.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Cole
Danny. I
Gerald on my
appreciate your
show,
time,
special
mate.
guest. You're welcome.
All right.